talk about
Yeah.
polyamorous community, right? Because that's something I'm hearing people like, it's becoming more common. I see, like, I've met people who are like, oh yeah, I've met a girl and she was polyamorous and all this kind of thing. So this whole talk of polyamorous. So to define it, it is the practice of or desire for intimate relationships with more than one partner with the informed consent of all partners involved. Okay. So this is everyone is consenting. They know that these different partners are involved. So it came to my understanding that there are 4 types. So there's a solo one where it's just everyone is kind of doing their own thing. Everyone knows, okay, I'm dating around, I'm sleeping with other people. Everyone is informed. There's no relationship with anyone. Then there's a polyfidelity where there's 3 or more people in a committed relationship and they do not date people outside. So it's like, say the 3 of us said, or all 4 of us on the line say, hey, we're together, we're in a relationship and we're just sleeping with each other. We're not going to sleep with anyone outside.
Okay,
then there's a hierarchy one where it's like we have one main relationship and there's like a secondary or third one, right? So in our main relationship, it's just most of the time spent with that one person. But then you can spend some of your other time with the second or third group of people, right? And normally that main group can control the decisions being made. They have more say in what's going on. And then the last one is a non-hierarchy where there's no hierarchy. Everyone's equal. So it's equalitarian where everyone in the relationship gets equal time, equal attention. They all have equal say in what's going on. So you see how the world has changed, guys? Before it was just like, I like you, you like me, boy, girl, get together. Now we have all these fun ways to enjoy each other.
It sounds like you just described every single relationship ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
Basically. I think those types of things were developed out of greed. I honestly, when you think about it, it's because there's always going to be someone that's winning in one of those situations. There's always just one. There's never both are equal. It's crazy. So I call myself trying the poly at the what's it called solo polyamorous, I think. And what's crazy about it is as I sat back, I'm like, no, this is just. You're just in the streets. Like, why is it labeled solo? Because basically you have multiple partners and y'all chilling. There's no need to talk about what you're doing outside of when we hang out. That's called being in the streets to me. But they say it's called solo polyamorous. Boom, got it. Then you have the next situation where it's just the one guy, right? And then there's 2 chicks. Okay. 99.999% of the time, right? You got one of the chick that's been with him since day one, and he starts feeling some other chick and convinces Big Mama to let this other chick come into a relationship with him. Who's winning here? Who's winning? Who's winning? Who's winning?
The dude.
Exactly, right? So that's to say every one of these situations, it's like someone's always winning. So to go back to what Brian said, yes, those different phases in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they actually are an example of every single relationship that has ever existed in the mankind.
Right. We call different names, but that sounds like everything I've ever heard.
Right. Like I said, solo polygamy is called in the streets. That's what I call it.
I guess the whole. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It looks like the difference why they put the kind of title on it is because of the consent part. Because we know people have been fooling around with different people throughout time, but it looks like now it's like everyone's in, understanding that, hey, I am doing this. I'm not hiding this. We're all in agreement with this.
Right.
That's the key feature, I think. I'm gonna step on the limb here. I think honestly that polyamorous relationships do have a place in human relationships, only because I do know that one size does not fit all on a planet of 8 billion people. And I think polyamorous relationships do and can work for some people. It's not for everybody. And I'm saying that because
Jody.
I know swingers who are in a polyamorous relationship, and I have been up close and personal with them as far as looking at their relationship to see if they're actually happy, and et cetera, et cetera. And I actually saw for myself that some people can and do enjoy multiple partners, and they allow their partner to do it freely without any kind of animosity. There are specific personality types that can do that. Again, it's not for everybody, but it can be healthy for some. So, and then I say, if it works for you, go ahead and do it, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, Thaddeus, you quiet on this one. Thaddeus, what you Rev, what you think about this?
Yeah, because like I'm just gonna come from so far left field because like I said, I always look at what humans are doing, and I mean I just think that we're so retarded as human beings. Like we especially like modern people. Like I cannot stand modern people because they think that they are so smart, that they are so hip, and they don't realize that all you're doing is you're just going back in time. Like that's all we're doing is repeating the past. Because what did we start out doing, right? We started out with kings and like dukes, and you had the king who had like, you know, like Solomon had like 700 wives, and we saw that we couldn't sustain that as a society, because then what would happen is that if you let this go on, like that is not a way to sustain society, because the guys at the bottom, the guys who don't have a wife, the guys who don't have a girl, like they're not going to want to take care of the kids bastards, and then there's no reason for them to be productive members of society, right? So we got together, you know, with religion and all that stuff, and we created what was called enforced monogamy, right? Which means that you have one wife, you ma'am, you have one husband, right? And when we did that, society thrived, right? And that's how we got to where we are today. Men became more productive. You didn't have to work. You know, the fabric or the foundation of society was strong. It was built because that's what built society, right? It's family. Now we got so. I guess,
I'm sorry to interrupt. It also helps with the gene pool. Sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
Yeah, it does help with the gene, because you don't have one guy with 2,000 children, and then they have to end up inbreeding. Right? So like we came from that, and then it was going good, and then there's an F word that I'm not going to say on the line, but it rhymes with something ism, right? That started off, and whenever that comes around, that just leads to a decline in birth rate, and then women are just no longer happy in marriage. They want to seek to do their own thing, right? But what that happens is that you're just going to repeat history all over again, because if you give women the choice, men have said this over time and time again, women will create harems, right? If you give them the choice, because all of them, what they're going to do is all of them going to seek, because they're hypergamous by nature, which means that they're going to seek to find the best quality man that they can. And, the little Joe Schmo on her level, as we can see today, women no longer want those guys. They want the top men. So you would find a million women who would like to sleep with, who's a good rapper? Not Weezy, kind of fell off. Drake. You would have 1,000,001 of them who would rather share Drake than have a guy who's their equal. And so what they do is Drake now has the possibility to just run all through all these women, and then they end up with baby daddies, and then they end up, they end up on their show talking about, why they can't find a good man.
Wow. Let me just put this note in here. You talk about me bashing dudes. You're always on this show telling women it's always our fault.
I bash men and women equally though. I'm an equal opportunity basher.
Yeah.
So don't get like, oh well, I just bash women. Yeah, I bash women. I would say that
90% of our episodes.
Unapologetically. But the only reason why I do it so much is because no one does it. Like no one has been doing it. For the past, let's say 50, 60 years, all women have heard is that y'all queens, y'all could do no wrong. Like nobody held women accountable. And then so you go out, and that's why women are so clueless these days. And you have women who are like 40 talking about why they can't. I'm not saying anybody on this panel, by the way. But I just got blocked the other day on Facebook because I told this lady, she was like, she was making fun of guys who are in the gene pool. You know how women are when they get to a certain age. It's like, well, there's no good men out here, and all the men have either they got ED problems or they're this. And I'm like, ma'am, have you considered that you have aged out of the dating market? Like any guy who is like in his right mind, like why would it,
Oh, okay,
I don't get
Thaddeus,
it.
we're gonna push pause on you. I'm gonna mute your butt in a little bit. Listen. Oh my gosh. Whew, y'all, please don't stop watching the show. Listen, we are doing such a good job. Like our viewership, I'm keeping both the guys and girls. I got like 53% women, 46% men. Please don't stop watching the show, okay? We want both of y'all. Whew, Lord.
He said some nuggets there, though.
Oh, Ryan, tell me.
Listen, I'm always dropping nuggets, man.
He said some things that I hope a lot of women listen to. Not all, but he said some important things that I think will probably go unnoticed. Like, well, there was so much. I mean, shit. I gotta rewind and listen to it again myself.
Right.
But yeah, he said
okay.
I do my research like before I come on the show, like because I always say I don't like to just come and say this is what I think. Like no, it's like no, this is what's going on. Like we've done the research. This is what's going on in the world, guys.
So we're saying,
men and women, govern yourself accordingly.
So we're saying polygamy.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian. What are you saying?
I'm sorry. The last thing you said about some women aging out of the market, that's very true. I mean, they know it because they're lying all the time about their age, trying to get back into the market. You know, they're 60, but they're saying they're 47 because they know nobody's looking for a 60-year-old. So he said stuff, and
that's happening.
It's true, but again, I think a lot of women need to listen, like rewind and listen to what he just said again.
So women. Okay, now in terms of that whole aging out, even though that's that's kind of side note, but still, I'm just curious because we want women who are over 40 to still feel like somebody wants their butt. So,
you know what you just said? You want them to feel. So regardless of if it's reality or not,
no, that is. No, I'm saying that. So for women who are watching this show that are 40 and over, because we do have a good amount of viewers that are, if we're saying, okay, they need to have a reality check, are you saying that there are no men out there for them? They should want a certain kind of man? Like, I'm sure there's still hope for them, right? So what is it that they're doing that you're saying that?
Go ahead and give them your hope.
What is it that they're doing?
Go give them your hope.
No, I'm just saying from a male's perspective, what do you think?
They have aged out. Like any guy, especially like a guy who wants to like start his own family, unless you're talking about a guy, for instance, a woman over 40, a guy who is 50 something or 60, you're a young woman to him.
Okay,
but the thing is, those guys, they're going to come with problems. Like they have medical problems. They're not going to be, they won't be able to knock your boots off in the bed. Like that's not going to happen. But the thing is, like they meet men like that and then they want to complain. But it's like, man, like that is your choices. If you find a guy and he is 40, let's say, let's say you're 38, 39, 40, 41, and this guy's like 43, 44, 45. Like he can pick up a 35-year-old, he could pick up a 32-year-old, he could pick up a 30-year-old. Like why? Guy is and he is like, I'm talking about he is what you want. Like the guy's of means. He has some game. He has money. He has a good place. He drives a nice car. Why would, and there's a plethora of 30-year-olds. Why would he choose you? Why? Give me one solid reason, Nicole. And don't tell me that, oh, your experience. Ooh,
no, I'm saying that these are good conversations to have because we want women to understand what men are thinking, because from our perspective, we're thinking we're a catch. We're thinking, I have these great qualities. Like I'm going to be a loving woman. I'm going to support you. I'm going to do all these things for you. But we're not understanding from the man. It's like, well, are you sexy though? Are you cute though? Can I, you know what I mean? That's what they thinking. And so women need a reality check. Like, we're thinking all these great qualities matter to a man, but for him to step to us, he first sees the outside.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So those are qualities that you add after he's attracted and after your age, because the thing is, of course, he needs to know that you can have kids. Like men are attracted to youth and beauty. It's pretty simple. some women after age 40, they're still beautiful, but you're not as young as, you know, most men would want you.
And
And
I
you could
think,
do a survey of men from 18 all the way up to like 80 and ask them which age range would they find beautiful, the most beautiful and the most attractive, and they'll all say from 18 to 80, they'll always say the same range.
you know what? And the thing too is I think women are thinking that the mature man gets over that. They're thinking, hey, of course, when you're in your 20s, you're all about looks and stuff. But it's like when you have experienced life, you value the internal more than the external. So you're thinking by the time the guy gets to 40, 50, 60, he's looking more for a quality woman as opposed to just something on the outside because they know that that's what comes with it. But it looks like we're thinking men are deeper than they actually are. Like, y'all just basic. And if we just understood that, now tell me, Brian.
I was just going to ask, what man did you get that information from?
Thank you.
That sounds like it came from some female magazine. That is not, you'll never hear that from a man.
To make them feel better. To make them
that's what I'm saying. Better. That's why it's good to have these conversations, because this is what I think we are thinking. And I don't know how we got that in our mind, but go ahead.
My point. Yeah, that's my point. How did you get that in your mind? Because you didn't hear it from us. That is not.
Maybe because that's what we do. Maybe because that's what we do. At first, we look for the looks, and then after a while, we're like, okay, those are all jerks. Let me just go for the nice guy, even though he's not that hot. So we're thinking y'all do the same thing.
I don't know. I think my experience is a little bit different. So I think when I was, you know, doing a whole dating thing, initially, like I noticed I was attracting really, really younger guys, right? And it was like always the same conversation. They were like, oh my God, you know, no one's really ever used the word MILF, but you know, that's the feeling that they would give me. And the sex, of course, would be great because, you know, their stamina is good. And I think it really, for me, depended at that time in my life, what I was looking for. And if I was looking for like a serious relationship, I wouldn't really entertain those types of men. It would just be for, you know, what it is. So I don't know. I think the age thing, it really depends on how you carry yourself. I've seen some women out there that are in their 50s that couldn't, a 20-year-old couldn't hold a candle to. You know what I mean? So I don't, it varies from person to person.
In whose eyes?
Whomever is attracted to them. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're speaking from a woman's perspective. We just told you as both men here that I don't care if this woman, she's the hottest 50-year-old. Like she cannot hold a candle to a 20-year-old.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, because you got that wisdom that comes in. You got that maturity. There's a lot of guys
who's attracted to wisdom. Like
yeah,
we're not. Women
like,
trying to keep force these things on us. Like I don't care about your wisdom. Like I really don't. Like Like your wisdom, it does not arouse me.
You though.
That's
hold on.
Both men on the panel.
Are you speaking for all men? Are you speaking for all men?
This is
because the men that I meet, they really appreciate the fact that I'm an intelligent Black woman. So, and that's one of the things that they find attractive about me.
They will tell you that, no doubt. I mean, and I love intelligence too. Like I love intelligence too, because I'm a very intelligent person. So
I believe them.
so I cannot be with a stupid woman. I can't. But the thing is, if you're intelligent, you could be the smartest woman, smart in the world. Like for instance, like Oprah. I think Oprah is dope. Like she's smart. I don't want to bang Oprah. I don't want to. I wouldn't marry Oprah. I'm not attracted to her at all. Like at all. But she is very intelligent, very much so. But it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. So,
Brian, are you in agreement with Thaddeus?
I'm actually in agreement with both of them, but for different reasons. Okay, so Thaddeus is speaking generally, and I agree with him. Generally speaking, a 47-year-old woman cannot hold a candle to a 30-year-old woman, generally speaking. However, there are some times, and this is where I'm agreeing with Jody, where I actually have seen a 47-year-old woman who could blow away a 30-year-old woman. But that's not normal. That's
rare.
Yeah, that's very rare. I mean, she's working 7 days a week. She has the genetic, you know, that's not the norm. Though. Normally, what Thaddeus is saying, if you were to flip a coin, he would win most of the times. But occasionally, you do see somebody in their 50s or 60s who just have it together. Nicole Murphy, Eddie Murphy's ex-wife, she's got to be 60 now. One of the most beautiful on earth. Every guy I know, 20-year-old, 25-year-old, 35, 80-year-old would go for her. She's that fine. But is she normal? No, absolutely not. Most of the women you see who are 60 look nothing like her, like not even close, like Mars and Venus, like totally. So I'm saying what we're talking about is generalizations. Most of the times, Thaddeus is right. If we're gonna have to choose between some woman who's 42 and the way she looks versus a woman who's 32 and the way she looks, all day, 32, all day.
Okay.
I don't know. I think you guys are talking a lot about aesthetics because like the men that I find myself around or even just friends, they really do appreciate being with an older woman that is also beautiful. They would prefer to be, if there were two beautiful women together and there was one that was a little bit younger, one that was a little bit older, but they were both equally beautiful. Most of the men that I speak with said they will always go for the older woman because of the maturity level, not having to deal with certain levels of insecurities because after a woman reaches a certain age, they're very confident in who they are. So that's more the conversations that I'm hearing. I'm not actually hearing the whole, what you guys are saying is all aesthetics. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes. Yes. And actually, I would agree with you. In a perfect world, if I could have a 30-year-old body and 47-year-old wisdom, I would take the your wisdom because I wouldn't have to deal with the crap, right? But I mean, that ass though on that 30-year-old, I mean, woo, you know what I'm saying? So I understand what you're saying. And I actually have seen real world examples of what you're saying, but they're not
common, right?
I've dated tons of 40-year-olds, 40-somethings, I should say, and tons of 30-somethings. The personality type of the 40-somethings, right, spot on, usually. The 30-somethings are still dealing with bullshit. They're transitioning. They don't know what they want. They're confused. I like the personality of the older woman, but the body of the younger woman. If you could find somebody who can combine those two, if you can get that 45-year-old to get to the gym every day and eat right and get her shit together, oh, she have men lined up around the corner.
Well, let me ask you a question, because we talked about erectile dysfunction and those kinds of things. When guys get in their 50s, 60s, and they start having those issues, they still want the younger girl, even though they know that they themselves can't even satisfy her. That's what they want still?
Viagra, what erectile dysfunction? Viagra nowadays, that I've even seen young guys taking Viagra. It's ridiculous now.
It's true, yeah, they do.
I don't know.
Wait, what?
Dysfunctions.
Taking a pill to have sex, relying on a pill for us to have sex for the rest of our relationship? No, that's not okay. That's not okay.
So even though they know they got all these health issues, I
don't give a shit. Like that's not my problem. Like I don't want. I know for me what's important in my relationship. Yeah. And a man that has erectile dysfunction and relies on a pill, first of all, that's taking away the spontaneity of our sex life right there, because then we have to get the pill and then sit down and wait for the 30 minutes or whatever the hell for it to kick in. Like that's just not the life that I want to live. That's just that's not where I want to see myself. That's not where I want my sex life to ever be. So for me, it's going to be a hard pass.
Oh, well, inevitably it's going to get there. I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at 80 years old, I'm sorry, but it's either.
And maybe I might feel differently, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like this conversation that I'm having at 40 is definitely not the conversation I ought to be having at 30. So at 50, I might feel differently. At 60, shit, I might become asexual and not fuck with none of y'all.
Okay.
I'm just saying at this age, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Okay. Man, I appreciate the conversation. Like I said, thank y'all for being so real. Like we got two guys on here that are like really being honest, and I really appreciate that. And Jody, man, you really came with some good knowledge. So women and men watching this episode, whoo, y'all got some gems in this one. I think this is really one of those episodes y'all need to rewind, watch, and then watch it again, because you might miss something. This is really good. So thank you all again for being on our show. We really, really appreciate it. Don't forget, guys, if you're watching at home, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, cuss Thaddeus out in the comments. You know, whatever y'all need to do after watching this. I'm just kidding. Don't come with that. You just being honest.
Let them come. Just be prepared for the smoke. Once I start responding, don't block me either. Don't get me off and block me.
Right. So thank you again. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Thaddeus. And thank you, viewers at home. And we'll see you next time on My Comfy Couch. Toodles.